Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So happy to see all of you back tonight for another lab experiment and story time to tell, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan for spending your Friday night with me, and I hope you enjoyed yesterday's experiment and maybe even tried it out and didn't give your parents too much of a hard time. I have a new one today, so let's pay attention to the screen. Okay, here we go. So today, what we have here in this white dish is some water, okay? And now what we're gonna do is take this black pepper, which represents dirt basically, and we're gonna sprinkle a little bit here, 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 here. I don't know if you can see all of it, but I'll put enough so you can see everything here. Okay. There you go, you see all that? So all that will be dirt. Okay. Now what we're going to do is that this water is not clean anymore. So, but it can be cleaned out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some dish soap here and put some on my finger. Okay, a little too much here, but okay. And watch what happens when I touch the water. You see that? That one little drop, it cleaned the entire thing and made the dirt go away. So now, don't forget what happened here, because I'm going to ask you some questions and you can maybe figure out from yesterday's experiment where this is going to go and how we're going to relate this to the story time that we have today. So just give me a few seconds here while I move this away and don't spill it on myself. All right, so let's begin, inshallah. Again, jazakallah khairan for coming, and inshallah we'll make this beneficial for everyone. We're all stuck here on a Friday night with nothing to do, so why not listen to Al-Huda live? Okay. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa, wassalam ala ibadihi alladhina istafa, amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim, la yaf'u ma banun illa man atallaha biqalbin salim. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. One day, while the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in his masjid with the companions, he asked the companions, do you want to see a man of Jannah? And the Sahaba, their whole goal was to go to Jannah. They gave their entire life, everything that they did was so that they can go to Jannah. So now when the Prophet ﷺ is saying, do you want to see a man of Jannah? They said, well, of course, yeah, we want to see, because we want to go to Jannah. They want to see who this person was, what was so special about them. So he said, the next person that walks through that door is a person of Jannah. So the Sahaba are waiting, and all of a sudden someone walks in. They walk in with their beard wet with water, and they're holding their slippers in their left hand, and then they put their slippers away. So the Sahaba are like, okay, that's the person of Jannah. So the next day what happens is the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in the masjid again with the companions, and he again said, do you want to see a person of Jannah? So the Sahaba are like, oh wow, okay, let's see. Maybe there's a second person that's going to go to Jannah that we want to see who this person is. So they said, whoever walks through that masjid door is a person of Jannah. So everyone's looking, seeing who's going to walk through, and again, it was the same person. And same way, wet hair, and he had his chappal or sandals in his hands. So then the third day, same thing happened again. And this time, the same person walked in again. So now there's one Sahabi there that said, you know what? I want to know what this person does. I want to know what's so special about him that the Prophet ﷺ in this life, while he's still living, basically stamped him and saying that he's from Jannah. So the Sahabi goes to this person's house and he goes, I got into an argument with my dad and I don't have a place to stay. Can I please stay with you? And the Sahabi was like, yeah, of course, you can stay. Now, can you imagine if the husbands did that to their wife? You come home from the masjid and say, honey, I invited this person to stay over at our house. You did what? Do you see the halat of the house? How big of a mess it is? You had no audacity to even ask me before you invited someone random person to sleep over at our house. So anyway, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our families for all that they do and give them the ability to do more for the sake of Allah. So anyway, the Sahabi said, yeah, of course you can stay over at my house. So the Sahabi was like, I want to stay here and find out every single thing that he does that makes him someone from Jannah. So he watches him. And he watches him all day and all night, actually. I'll tell you why he was actually even stayed up at night watching him. So he watches him all day. He doesn't do anything special. He thinks to himself, okay, fine, that was the daytime. Let's see, maybe at nighttime he has some special dhikr, some special tasbih that he does. He prays something. So he's sitting there watching him at nighttime again. So remember, the Sahabi stayed up all night just to see what he was doing. So this, we call this Jannati Sahabi, just so that we know which Sahabi is which. So this Jannati Sahabi is laying and he's sleeping the whole night. He doesn't get up for tahajjud. What he does one time was he rolls over from one side to the next. He goes, Allah, and then he goes back to sleep again. So this Sahabi was like, okay, this guy didn't do anything special. There's nothing there that he did at night. Maybe he's just tired. I'll watch him another day, another night. So he watches him the whole entire day. Nothing special. He doesn't give any extra sadaqah. Doesn't do anything out of the ordinary that anyone else, you can say is different from. So they said, okay, the first night he was tired. Let's see what he does tonight. So he stayed up again and watched him. And the same thing again. He was sleeping the whole night. And he just turned over from one side to the next side saying, Allah, and made some zikr. And then he went back to sleep. So the third morning comes and he's like, you know what? This guy doesn't do anything. I don't know why he's so special. So he tells us, the Jannati Sahabi, actually the real story is that I didn't get into a fight with my dad. I just, the Prophet ﷺ said that you were a person of Jannah. And he said the whole story of what happened. And I just wanted to find out what's so special. What special thing do you do that the Prophet ﷺ said that? So the Sahabi says, he was confused. He's like, I don't do anything special. I mean, you saw me. I don't do anything special. So then the Sahabi is like, okay, fine. So he's leaving. And then go, oh, wait. You know what? Now that I think about it, at nighttime, before I go to sleep, I forgive everyone for anything that they did. I basically let go of all my grudges. Before I go to sleep, I clean any ill feelings in my heart towards anyone. And the other Sahabi goes, that's it. That's a very, very hard thing to do. Right? Because why? Because as human beings, we spend a lot of time with people. And especially in this COVID business, we're spending a lot of time with each other. So what happens? There's always friction. You say something that you didn't mean to say, or you get upset and you do something and something always happens. It's a natural phenomenon in life that you're going to talk to people unless you sit in a cave by yourself, which nobody does, between brothers and sisters, between parents and kids, between friends, between coworkers, between people in the masjid, anywhere, even in the grocery store sometimes. Even when you're driving, you have these moments where something happens, right? And when these things happen and they bother us, we start getting ill feelings in our heart. Right? And over time, these ill feelings get stronger and stronger and they form a grudge. Right? We start not liking that person anymore. And anytime their name is mentioned, it's like, oh, you know what? Don't talk to me about that person. I don't want to hear about him. Right? It causes us stress, anxiety, it causes us anger. And not only are we harming ourselves, we are blocking an easy entrance into Jannah. Right? By having a grudge, we're basically cutting ourselves off from Jannah. Because why? The Prophet ﷺ said this person is from Jannah, and the only thing that was special about him was the fact that he forgave every single person before he went to sleep. So when we have a grudge, who benefits from this grudge? Does a person who says something against you, do they benefit? Do they wake up one day and say, oh, now I know, that's why this person is giving me the cold shoulder. I did something wrong, let me fix it. Now I know why they're mad at me. No, they probably have no idea what happened. They probably forgot about it, and we're the only one holding it inside, and every time we think about it, it causes us more problems. Right? And the only one that benefits from this whole holding grudge thing is Shaitan, because he knows, yes, I got him. I blocked the easy path into Jannah, because his goal is to do anything possible to not let us go to Jannah. He made a promise in the Quran saying, I will come from them from the front, from the back, from the side, from the top, wherever, and you will not find many of them that are very grateful, or I will not let them go into Jannah. Right? So he makes these small things into big things. Right? That's it. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not going to look at him. I'm not going to invite them over ever again. Right? It should be the opposite. When someone wrongs us, we should invite them. When you have little kids and they're playing together, all of a sudden they get into a little fight and they come to you saying, Mama, Baba, he took a quarter of mine. What do? We start laughing, saying, you're so silly. Go back. It's just a quarter. It's not a big deal. This is just like a quarter. Right? We forget about it. It's not bigger than Jannah. So why would we let Jannah go for the sake of a quarter, right? Every night before we go to sleep, we should scan our heart and sit down and think, do I hold any ill feeling towards anyone? Right? Do I have a grudge against anyone? I want to remove it completely for the sake of Allah. Right? If our child gets into a fight over a quarter, and what do you tell them? You say, you know what? Forget the quarter. Here, take $100 bill. The child goes, what? Ooh, yeah, I want, give me the $100. We can relate to this because it's money. You say, forget about that fight. I'm getting $100. I'm done with it. Jannah is much bigger than that. If we're holding on to a grudge, we're blocking ourselves from Jannah. And unfortunately, we don't understand this because we're so, we can relate to money. If someone says, if I give you $100,000 and you just say, you know what, you become friends with that person, you forgive everything that they did, we'll say, yeah, of course, I'll do it. I have no problem. I have no problem doing it. Just want to make sure that the sound is on. Can everyone hear me okay? Just want to make sure that I don't see the microphone going off, so I hope everyone is able to hear. I think if they did not, they would say something. Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Ali. Yeah, sorry, the little green mic, I was told that if it goes on, then it's working, but I don't see it on my side. So, okay, sorry about that. So anyway, so when someone says, I'll give you $100,000, and you just let go of this grudge, how quickly we would do it. But $100,000 compared to Jannah, it's nothing, right? It's nothing. And this is for both adults and also for kids. Because you know why? Because as a kid, if you start holding on to grudges, then when you get older, it becomes much harder. I'll give you an example. When we play with our friends, sometimes we get into a fight with someone. Sometimes someone takes our toy, they break it, whatever it is, and we say, I don't like that kid, right? I don't want to be their friend anymore. It happens. These things happen because you're friends and you're gonna play, you're gonna hurt things, you're gonna get hurt, right? But what happens is that you give them space, right? You say, you know what, let me just go away from the situation and I'll come back to them, but you still be friends. This thing is such a big deal that the Prophet ﷺ said that a man or two people cannot be in an argument for more than 3 days, right? If you get upset with someone, the deen understands that you're going to be upset, that you need some space, but it only gives you 3 days. After that, you have to start talking to them again. So it's the same exact way as a kid, you get into a fight with someone, or someone takes something of yours, or they break something of yours. You say, you know what? I remember the hadith about the person that goes to Jannah when they forgive someone. So at that moment, we say, you know what? Forget about it. I need some space. I'm going to go away and come back again, right? And these things happen at childhood and they go on for adults. Does it make sense? I'm so angry. Oh, I'm not going to forgive them. They took my money. They took my jewelry. They took my toys. They looked at me like that. Oh, they didn't invite me to their party. Everyone was invited and they sent their pictures on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And I didn't even know about the party, right? And what? They didn't say salam to me first. Oh, I'm never going to talk to them. How can they not say salam to me? I'm older than them, right? They picked him on the basketball team first. They didn't pick me. She invited me over to her house. She invited her over to her house and not me, right? It doesn't matter. All these things are really just petty because what it's doing is that Shaitan knows what our weakness is. And that's what he holds on to. So why would we take a chance? Everyone nowadays has a grudge against everyone, right? There's not just one grudge. Whatever happened, just let it go, right? In another, the least thing we can do is clear our hearts. In another narration in the book of Imam Muslim, it said that the gates of paradise are opened on Monday and Thursday. Allah forgives every servant who does not associate anything with him except a man with enmity between himself and his brother. It will be said, delay him until they reconcile, meaning until they become friends, until they let go of that grudge. Delay him until they reconcile. Delay him until they reconcile, meaning what? That he needs to get to Jannah, but Allah's giving us a chance. He's giving a chance. He says it 3 times, right? In the hadith, so that's important. Whenever something is repeated in a hadith, or the Prophet ﷺ says, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, like, it's very important. The Prophet ﷺ had a habit that whenever something was important, he repeated 3 times. Same way, he's saying, delay him until they reconcile. What? The gates of Jannah are open. Is who? Someone that holds an ill feeling towards another person, or they have a grudge in their heart, right? Shaitan knows this. He knows that if I can have someone have a grudge against someone, then I'm set. I can go on vacation. I don't have to do anything more. Because what happens is that, this grudge builds on and stays on for a whole life. So now what? He makes us have a grudge against, my mom. She said this to me. She grounded me. She didn't let me play video games. Didn't let me watch TV. Oh, my teacher, I have a grudge. She gave me homework in quarantine. How dare she give me homework in my quarantine? What am I? I'm never going to talk to her. She's mean. Right? My boss, he did this to me. Oh, my friend, he said this to me. The imam of the masjid, board member, my in-laws, right? Shaitan is having a field day because he's planting all these small little deeds, all these small little grudges. And it's just like the experiment we did, right? All those little specks, right? Those are all grudges. They can actually be considered all of sin. But in our experiment, they're all grudges. You see how many grudges there were? And what happens? When we put that soap right on top of it, just dipped in the water, it all became clear again. right? And that's what happens when we forgive people and we clear our heart. Right? The ayah that I recited at the beginning, لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. The translation is neither children nor money, right? Nothing will help you on the day of judgment except what? Someone that brings a pure, clean heart, just like that water. So our job is to clean our hearts any way they can. And grudges is just one disease of the heart. There's so many different diseases we can talk about. For the sake of the talk and the story time, we're going to talk about grudges, right? And holding grudges is just only one of these many diseases we can have, but we have to start somewhere, right? We can't talk about all of them now, but at least highlighting the hadith that this is an easy way to Jannah, and we're going to focus on how we can do this, right? And the problem is that we don't have one grudge, we have many grudges. And the funny thing is that these grudges get stronger as they get older. If you sometimes when you meet people, they're old, they're 67 years old, they're walking with a cane, they can't walk, but as soon as you mention someone's name that they don't like, all of a sudden they're like this and they start going off. Or they have a hard time speaking, very soft spoken, but you bring up someone that they have a grudge against and they just start speaking so much. MashaAllah, as they're getting older, the body's getting weaker, but the grudges get stronger and stronger. Right? People stop talking to each other for years, for eternity. It's really bad. People that pass away that don't, husband and wife don't speak to each other. What happens? These grudges, they build. What happens? People get divorced, right? These grudges build. They cut off inheritance from each other, right? Brothers and sisters have stopped talking to each other. Parents have stopped talking to each other. I'm a physician. A lot of times when I see older people, older patients, I ask them, oh, do you have any family or anything? They say, no, I have 2 kids and they live somewhere other town, and we don't really talk anymore, right? How talk to parents? There's something that we love doing right now, but imagine that's what shaitan does. He creates these grudges inside of us that become so strong that we can't talk to someone, right? People have a grudge against their sister. Oh, how can you have a grudge against your sister? What did she do? Did she take your Jannah? It's like, no, she just looked at me funny. I mean, this is really, it sounds silly, but that's people are. They say, oh, she looked at me this way and she didn't give me respect. Right? At the end of the day, this is what shaitan's goal is that he just plants these small little specks, right? And then just one speck here, one speck there. We don't think about it. And over time, they become so much that it's hard, right? If you look at a garden, there's weeds in the garden, but each weed starts off very small and tiny. If we don't pick up that weed right away from the ground, then the weed gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and sometimes like a small little plant can become into a tree, and that is very difficult to remove, right? So people that are older, we may have a lot of grudges in our heart, and they've become like trees, so it's going to take a lot of work getting those out. But what we can do is going forward, we can say, you know what, from today onwards, when I go to sleep, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to lay in my bed every single night. Right before I go to sleep, I'm going to think what ill feeling I have toward anyone, and I'm going to forgive every single person. That way, the garden, one part of the garden stays clean, and the other part of the garden, we can work on getting it clean and getting rid of the roots. So how to avoid having grudges, right? This all is a reminder to myself and to everyone, so we can all benefit together. We're all trying to go to Jannah together, right? It's not like, oh, this talk is only for this person or that person. It's for all of us, and we all have weaknesses and shortcomings, and we should try to take lessons from all of these. So tips on how we can avoid grudges. The first thing is that when we speak, we should be very careful in what we say, right? We should be very careful in what we say to people, because you can hurt someone's heart without even realizing it, right? When you say something that hurts someone's heart, they may act like they're completely fine, but inside you just put a dagger there, right? And that seed, that ill feeling will stay there, and then it'll get worse and worse and worse. The tongue is such a dangerous organ of our body that when you look at a zoo, you have the simple cages for the easy animals. But when it's a big animal, something that's really dangerous, they put multiple layers so that if they bypass one layer, they can come to the next layer and they'll be blocked from there. The same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed our tongue in such a way that it has 2 barriers. One is your teeth, and the second one is your lips, because it's so dangerous. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever can guarantee me what's between their lips and between their thighs, I will guarantee them Jannah. Why? Because this tongue, these easily. It's a famous line they say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not really true, right? That hurt. Those words really are painful because people remember that. They fester on that for a very long period of time. They said this about me, they said this about my family. So the first thing is that when we're saying something, we should be very careful what we say. We should never break the heart of another Muslim, right? We're very, very quick to make jokes or downplay someone or make fun of them because it's a cool thing to do. But we never know when we're hurting someone's feelings. So we should always think about, did I say something wrong? If you did, then the second thing is that, actually, the third thing in here, the second thing, okay, so be very careful what we say. The second thing is someone says something to us or does something to us, we quickly let it go. We don't think about it. So you know what? We say, forget about it. We say, oh Allah, I want to be like a Sahabi who forgive everyone each evening. Oh Allah, give me the ability to let this go. Whatever it was, whatever they said something, or they did something to us, say, oh Allah, please give me your Jannah instead. Right? Anytime that happens, think about that. Just stop for a second and say, you know what? I'm not going to let this get inside my heart because I need to have a clean heart for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third thing is that we should be always very quick to apologize, right? It doesn't matter how small it is. Even if we potentially hurt someone, that we're not sure if we hurt someone, we say, you know what? I'm going to go say sorry to them anyway because I don't want them to even think about this. I don't want them to have, any sort of miscommunication that they felt maybe I said this way, but I didn't. It doesn't matter if they're younger than us. It doesn't matter if they're less educated than us. It doesn't matter if they're any less status than us. Because in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at any of that. He looks at our heart. لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. Allah looks at a pure heart, قلب سليم. Right? So that's why this is really important. And I can tell you, saying sorry fixes a lot of things. But you have to be careful that your sorries are not just like, oh, you always say sorry. This guy doesn't mean it. He's always saying sorry. So to be very careful, be sincere in your apology, but be the first one. If something happens, between husband and wife, it happens all the time. Say sorry at the end of the day. You should never go to sleep upset at someone because if you pass away in that state, let's say that you're mad at someone, right? And they pass away. Then you'll feel so bad that, subhanAllah, we had such a great life. We did so many good things. And just that one night, we got into a fight and I never apologized. We never talked about it and they passed away. That'll be such a biggest regret on the day of judgment. So we should always, always say sorry. So let's do a quick recap of this whole talk, right? So holding grudges, according to Hadith, was an easy way to get blocked from going to Jannah. So before we go to sleep every single night, we should forgive everyone that did anything to us. We sit there and we scan our heart, like a scanner, slowly go down. In the morning, I woke up. What did I do? Did I do something? Did I say something wrong to my parents? Did I do something on my way out? Did I hurt someone's feelings? Okay, I'm really sorry. Forgive them in your heart. And if you can make it up by saying sorry to them, you should go and say sorry to them, right? So this is the main lesson of this. And the reason why we said, the title is just let it go is because of that. And yes, I have 2 daughters and I have 8 nieces. So you can imagine how many times I've heard the song Let It Go, and maybe that's why I titled it. So the other thing about grudges is that it benefits us in a lot of ways by letting it go. By letting grudges go, it causes less stress, it causes less anger, it causes less anxiety, it decreases the need to go to a therapist who charge $100, and at the end of the day, you know what they say? They'll let you talk, and they say, you know what, just let it go. Yep. They probably watched Frozen also. They said, just let it go. And what they do at the end of that is they give you a bill for $100. So now you'll have a grudge against them because they give you a bill of $100 for just saying, let it go, when the Prophet ﷺ said it 1400 years ago, and he promised Jannah for us too. So think about that. And letting grudges go, I can tell you, when you have a clean heart, you are much happier. My teacher said that, the only person that suffers when there's a grudge is the person that holds that grudge, because the other person is sleeping completely comfortable, but we're laying in bed thinking about all the things that happened. We'll say, I'm never gonna forgive that person because they did this to me, they did that to me. So we are the only ones that are going to suffer. And if we get rid of it and we clean it, I will guarantee you'll be a happier person. Right? It makes us get along better with others, because people will know that, hey, if I make a mistake in front of this person, they're not going to hold me accountable. They're not going to be like, oh, you did this to me. Remember, this happened 10 years ago, and they'll always remind you about it. You don't want to be those kind of people. The other thing that it does is that it keeps our heart clean by letting our grudges go. And the most important thing is that it opens an easy gate to Jannah. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from holding any grudges. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He allows us to go to sleep every night forgiving anyone that did anything to us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow the Muslim ummah to forgive each other, especially if this is the cause of Him being upset with us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant all and qalbun salim, and that He enters us into Jannah. وآخر دعوانا عن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.